Travis Wayne Goodsell. I'm back to being a happy camper again. If you saw the previous two videos, you will know that I found out that I can serve the corporation of the President of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, blah, 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 on my own as the plaintiff. And I did it. It is done. The church is served. Through Curtin McConkie, who are their agents. So I'm gonna read to you the notification of summons for the waiver of service. And hopefully I don't find any typing errors. I tried to make sure to edit it a few times as I rushed to get it to the post office, and found out that the pickup isn't until 3 anyway, so I have one more hour until they pick it up, but it's officially now in federal government hands. They have been served. Alright, to whom it may concern, on 30th September 2019, I, Travis Wayne Goodsell, plaintiff, filed in the United States District Court for the District of Utah, Central Division, case number 219CV00711, Travis Wayne Goodsell v. Corporation of the President of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. There's the notification. On this day, blank, 27 February 2020, which I filled in, I, Travis Wayne Goodsell, plaintiff, in accordance with Rule 4H, do hereby notify you of this action taken against the defendant as their authorized agent. You've been served! Attached are the required complaint and 2 copies of the waiver form appended to Rule 4D with a prepaid return letter to me, as I found out on the waiver, not in the rule. According to Rule 4D1F, you have 30 days to respond. That's significant because on the waiver form it says 60. No, the rule says 60 if they're out of the jurisdiction, and it's in the jurisdiction that they have to respond to. So it's 30. 30 days to respond. And I had to, as I mentioned, append the rule to it. And the rule states right there. That's why I listed, according to Rule 4D1F, you have 30 days. The 28th being on a Saturday, so Monday the 30th of March is therefore the traditional deadline. Signed, me, dated today, 27 February 2020. So, what this means is that if Curtin McConkie are not the lawyers for the church, they will then motion, you got the wrong people, we're not for the church. Not the case. If the court, which is the United States District Court for the District of Utah Central Division, is the wrong place for jurisdiction, and the jurisdiction is criminal rather than civil filing, then they can claim, no, sorry, you got the wrong jurisdiction. They cannot say, we do not accept this service because we're a religion and you can't serve us. No, they've been served. Alright, so what that means is the 30th of March 11:59, they are required to notify the court and respond. If, just like a regular service of process, they have to respond. If you've been paying attention to Gaddy versus COP, the church responded by filing a motion to dismiss, claiming we are a church, a religion, and the First Amendment says that we're above the law and beyond the law and the law as a religion, and therefore we're untouchable. and Gaddy's fighting that, as the judge now is deciding that dismissal motion currently. I don't think there's been a response yet, though it's been since the 13th of February when the hearing was held. I'm going to check here real quick. Gaddy v. Church of Jesus Christ. Why isn't it not showing up automatically? Latter-day Saints. Okay. Pace monitor. The docket. They stop it at noon for them too. At least they're consistent. Yeah, the judge is still deciding. Judge Robert Shelby. Still, I don't know, I'm so confused. Do I side with the church of which I belong to and pay the protection money of tithing to and give loyalty oaths at conference and in the temple? Or do I obey the American government of which I had sworn an oath of loyalty to? Who do I choose? I can't choose both. Cannot serve two masters, that's why. So, Gaddy's still stuck. So, on the 31st of March, at 12:01 a.m., if the church, representatives for the church, have failed to respond, then they are in default, and I win automatically. And as a result, I then will file another entry of default because they've refused to respond to the summons. And so that's why I did the previous one, but it was against Judge First, because Judge First is ordered in the law of summon that I read over, Rule 4. She must, it's not if she feels like it, she must respond with an order for the U.S. Marshals to deliver my summons, because I filed in forma pauperis. That's the whole reason why they have that system. And she refuses, just outright refuses. I'm not going to do it. So she's in contempt of her own court. So, by following this process, for having now served the church, I argued that she was acting on behalf of the church's defense counsel, and therefore conceded to the complaint as if she had refused to respond, by refusing to respond, and therefore asked for her recusal first, because it's clear she's compromised by the defendant. She refused to respond to that, so I then submitted the summary judgment motion. She refused to respond to that, and thus I put in the entry of default. I hope I remember to post it in the link for you below. I followed the rules. It's not the case that a judge would do this. She's apparently the first ever. And so, that's what would happen had the church actually been served, as I would have won. And my request for relief is supposed to be granted in full. And so on the 31st of March, pay attention. Get up early. If the church is going to delay till the very last minute. But notice that's also the week before conference. And so, yeah, this is going to be huge news for conference. And the church is going to try to keep it all a secret. Because I already put in the case filing, and I do need to read that to you. It's just going to take so long because it was huge, as I showed you in the other videos. And so I have to set aside a whole day to do it. Yeah, again, we're going through this process again, but on the 31st at 12:01 a.m., which means if they refuse to file or respond, I go into the federal court that day and have an entry of default again. But this time because of the church, not because of the judge. And so technically I would have won again. But the judge is not doing very well in responding. But in this case, the judge will know, hey, the defendant has now been served. You're now neglecting two parties, not just one. But I expect them to respond. The question now is, how will they respond? Because again, like I said, I've dealt with in my case immediately at the beginning that the church is not, the corporation is not the same as the religion. I am not suing the religion. I am not suing because they have evangelical faith rather than Book of Mormon faith. Did you know that, Mormons? I wanted to do that video, but it got filed in my pile of LDS critic topics. You know, they can't send a motion saying that we're a religion, you can't get us, because I put in there in the beginning, Kay did not do this in her lawsuit. I did. And I put that the church has been attempting to manipulate the public and Mormons, that they are one and the same, and they're not. And so I referenced Elder Pullman's talk in 1984, which I found out that the church has recently pulled from that conference. You cannot find it on their website in the conference section. You have to go to YouTube now. And there's some great videos by people who have merged the two videos together. And so, if you understand the video I'm talking about, then you know what I'm talking about. And so I deal with that. So they can't claim religious protections under the First Amendment. And it's a constant slam. Remember, I am born and raised Mormon. Pioneer ancestry. 50 years of Mormonism. I know everything. And that's why it's so long. And I don't think I covered everything I could have. It was just what I could come up with within the 30-day extended period that Judge first gave me after the first hearing, that on the 1st of November hearing that she had. She was going to dismiss my case then. That was expected. That's why she was assigned to my case. She had been fired. She was no longer working. Her caseload was getting lighter because people were motioning for a new judge because she got fired. And Judge Waddups said, yeah, we're going to have this case dismissed. Judge First, you're handling this. But I threw a bombshell in that hearing. And she gave me the 30-day extension to file the amended report, or the amended complaint. The church is paying the person that ordered my disappearance. Disappearance, people. This is how corrupt the church is. The church that I was born and raised in, that I gave protection money to, that I went and participated in their pyramid scandal scheme of recruitment out in New York. And so it's just, I pursued the ancient Middle Eastern studies with the languages and all. Why? Because of the church. And so the church blacklisted me because I was a translator. I deciphered Paleo-Hebrew. I deciphered Egyptian petroglyphs. And I discovered that the Bible came from the petroglyphs of Egyptian. And so, yes, I could restore, and have been working on it, the original biblical text. Because, yes, there were plain and precious things taken out of the Bible. And the church hates me for this, and they've been trying to have me murdered. They disappeared me and tried to murder me. And they're still doing it today through their associates, as it's called in the criminal organization world. And so all these other scandals that you're hearing in the news, all part and parcel. And so this case is going to shut down the church once and for all. They have no defense against any of this. I caught them in the act. I've got the evidence. They have nothing to defend against. They can't claim innocence. They've got nowhere to run, nowhere to hide, other than fleeing the country into a non-extradition country where they can launder their money into an offshore account, which is what I'm expecting. That's why I said the day before the judge was supposed to give the order of final summary judgment to me, the church announces they're going to release the handbook, number 1, the coveted Holy Grail document of Mormonism. And it's now released now, 19th of February. The church knows about my case. I got the evidence. I presented it in the other motions for recusal and then summary judgment. But the church is over, guys. I know it's hard to believe. Nobody should be able to take down the church. They're this mighty Goliath, protected with lawyers, protected with Mormons in positions of government power. And so, here's the receipts to show it. It's served. I even did it through the Mormon grocery store, Harmon's. That's where the post office is. And so, yeah. Now we just wait. Because the church has nothing. They can't argue anything now. They can try. They're not going to get it. I already presented the arguments ahead of time in the complaint. And so they've got nowhere to hide, nowhere to go, other than to flee and have an entry of default. And then because they fleed, no money and nobody to sue. And so church will be done. It'll be over with. And the stake presidents will have the handbook now. They had handbook 1 before, but now Mormons will have it along with the stake presidents. So if their stake president says, the church is corrupt, I'm out of here, then a regular Mormon who's fanatical will say, hey, I'm going to start my own Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I'll have the handbook of Lucifer's doctrine to show for it. And that's what I was going over. I'm willing to bet you John DeLynn in his hour-long, last saw part 3 of him going over it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's not discussing how it's satanic doctrine. He was Mormon, and he left. He was excommunicated, but he doesn't know anything about the church. Because anybody who knows anything about the church knows that they are following Lucifer's plan of happiness. How many times do I have to repeat this for Mormons? They are the church of the devil, literally, from the definition of the church of the devil in the Book of Mormon. In Moses, chapter 4, verses 1 through 4. That's Mormon theology. And all Mormons missed it. And so, pay attention, because it's going to be a wild ride. And the church is going to keep this a secret. Technically, all they are able to do is say, we received it, and then I'm supposed to respond if they have some kind of claim against my complaint. Like they did with Gaddy versus COP. They said, we're motioning for a dismissal because we're a religion. And so Gaddy had 14 days to reply, in which she again tried to explain in another way why the church needs to be sued. And that's already settled in my case. I already put it in my complaint. I have distinguished between the corporation and the religion. And I said, I'm not suing the religion. I'm suing the corporation for the crimes they committed against me. And so the only thing they can do now is, flee, or they have to plead. How does the defendant plead? We plead not guilty, Your Honor. Okay, then we go to trial. And then I would submit all the evidence. All the evidence. All the evidence. Do you understand that? It will be public. It will be in the public domain. It will be on this online docket. All the world will be able to see. Pacer makes you pay for it. You can file a Freedom of Information Act request. There is a filing fee for that, I think. Again, you have to pay. But yes, people will know of the evidence against the church. And I've got the evidence. And so the church is responsible for that evidence. It's their own evidence. That's how damaging my case is against the church. See, with Gaddy, Kay has to try to show and prove the history. And all she's got are the authors of books. She has a weak case. She can do it, but she's misled, and she's been misled, as I've been doing my own videos for you on what I found out in my own investigation of church history. So she's got an uphill battle, but not with me. It's a guaranteed win. If it goes to trial, the church will be exposed, the whole world will know, and they don't want that. And so the other options are guilty, which means I don't present any evidence. They go right to sentencing, and because they plead guilty, it would be the full sentencing. I've got capital crimes against them. Technically, if this were a criminal case, they would receive capital punishment. You know, the death penalty. That's how serious their crimes are. But because it's civil, I get my request for relief if they plead guilty. My request for relief was two options for them. One, hand over the keys. Or two, sell everything and write me a check. Which would be a deposit and whatever. Which I already have a collections agent all lined up. If they refuse to sell everything and send me the check. Because we would have to go through a process after they pled guilty of the judge then asking, okay, we need a listing of all your assets. And the church, for the first time ever, will have to confess and show the whole world how much money they actually have. Their whole finances will have to be exposed to the world. They don't want that. And so, as a result, they're not going to plead guilty. And so there is a no contest option. There's also a not guilty by reason of insanity and guilty and mentally ill, or vice versa on those. That doesn't qualify here. They're a corporation. So the old man senile defense is not going to hold any water here. As much as we'd like it to under Monson, for example. And Nelson also is exhibiting signs of such. No. That's why they have the Quorum of the 12 with the underboss, the president of the Quorum of the 12, and counselors, and so that they have backups as a fail-safe. So, no. They can't claim those insanity, mental ill defenses. They have no other choice then but to say no contest, which ignoring would be consent as well. Although that's more of a guilty verdict rather than a no contest. You have to actually say no contest to get away with that. And like guilty, you're not going to have the evidence revealed. But no contest means that you're not admitting guilt. That's the only difference. But the request for relief would also have to be given. So, yeah, the church has no argument. So if they want to take it to court, bring it on. I'm waiting and I'm ready. This is taking too long already. But I've got the collections lawyers all lined up. They're saying, yeah, just give us the order and we'll get to work. And they'll do it on contingent fee even. And so, yeah, this is going to be awesome. But that's why I'm expecting the church to all of a sudden disappear, like the three Nephites. And head to a non-extradition country, which would have to be in Central or South America, because those are the safe places from the contravirus. And let's see where non-extradition countries are. There's a listing online. Non-extradition countries. Okay, Central African Republic, Those are safe from contravirus. Chad, that's safe from contravirus. Comoros, Democratic Republic of Congo, maybe? Countries with no extradition treaty with U.S. Alright, these countries currently have no extradition treaty with the United States. Afghanistan. Pakistan has contravirus, not Afghanistan, I don't think. Algeria, Andorra, Angola, Armenia, Bahrain, Bangladesh, Belarus, Bosnia, and Herzegovina, Brunei, Burkina Faso, Burma, Burundi, Cambodia, there you go, Cameroon, Cape Verde. I understand Cape Verde is beautiful. Central African Republic, Chad, mainland China. Oh, there they go. Comoros, Congo, the other Congo, Brazzaville, and Kinshasa, and Djibouti, Equatorial Guinea, Eritrea, Ethiopia, Gabon, Guinea-Bissau, Indonesia, Ivory Coast, Kazakhstan, there you go, Kosovo, Kuwait. They just got Kuwait, I believe it was Kuwait, to recognize the church. That's the most recent place. I believe it was Kuwait. I wonder why they were able to make a deal there. I wonder if that's where they're planning on fleeing to. Laos, Lebanon, Libya, Macedonia. Well, hey, there you go. Go to the Macedonians. Madagascar. Hey, there's cartoon characters there. Maldives, Mali, Marshall Islands. Hey, that's where the abortion scandal occurred with the Mormon from Arizona who had a house here in West Valley City where he held hostage Marshall Islands mothers to adopt their babies once they were born. Yep, Mormon scandal. Mauritania, Micronesia, Moldova, Mongolia. Like, hell, it's like every country in the world. Montenegro, Morocco, Mozambique, Namibia, Nepal, free Nepal, Niger, Oman, Qatar. Qatar may be the other one if it was not Kuwait. But I don't think it was Qatar though, because that's where we've got our military base. Russia, if you're listening, we would like a temple. Yes, we'll launder the $32 billion through our LLC companies, thanks to Senator Orrin Hatch of Utah, Mormon boy, who said that the tax bill was for the poor. It turned out it was for the church, so that they can start LLC companies and launder Russian money for their Russian temple. Rwanda, Samoa, really? So yeah, the church could flee to Samoa. Large Mormon population there. Sao Tome and Principe, Saudi Arabia. Yeah, the prince will take you in. Senegal, Serbia, Somalia, Sudan, Syria, Togo, Tunisia, Uganda, Ukraine. Oh, don't we have a temple there where the deal was made with Russia for the Russian temple? You didn't know about that, did you? The mission president or the temple president for Ukraine, the Kiev, Ukraine temple, was a real estate agent. He was just replaced last year with a not a JAG person, but somebody who was associated with the JAG courts. United Arab Emirates, Uzbekistan, Vanuatu, Vatican. They can flee to their Vatican temple. Vietnam and Yemen. So we can go to North Korea? I don't see North Korea in this list. Huh. Man. But this was back in 2015, so I'm sure it's huge now. Trump banning all countries. Probably Canada is now on this list. So, yeah. Look for the church to flee. Because they don't want to handle this. They don't want this scandal. It will go public. I even have a motion all set, ready to go, saying, hey, this needs to be public for my safety. The national news needs to cover this for my safety. There is a rule that allows cameras in the federal courts. And I will be asking for that motion. But before that, I am going to motion, if they proceed with a case or try to claim that they're a religion still, even though I've already dismissed that they're not a religion. They're using a religion as a front. Then I will motion for the defense counsel to recuse themselves and be investigated by the Bar Association and see to it that they get their licenses revoked. Removed from the bar, licenses revoked, because they are giving loyalty to the church, not America. This is the treason count, guys. This is how damaging my case is to the church. The church has betrayed America. And so they're going down. And 31st of March. Stay tuned, because this is going to get wild. So, you know, if they were to murder me, as they've been trying unsuccessfully, they're going to have to actually get somebody with a gun to blow me away in person. But then everybody will know that the church is covering it up and had me assassinated. And that will not look good for the church either. So Mormons, just remember that. If you think you're going to protect and defend the church by committing a crime, I wouldn't recommend it, because you get the church in trouble. Naughty, naughty. It's over, guys. I already went through my shock period. So if you're still going through yours, you know, one of my videos talks about the shock that I go through and how to deal with it. Get over it. Isn't that the Republican way? Get over it. It's done all the time. So yes, I'm a happy camper now. One more thing that caught my attention. Notice how after last week, the church got exposed by Business Insider for the investments that the church has been making in the sum of $40 billion just through the one Ensign Peak Associates. The stock market is now down, 3,000 or so over the 3 days this week. After last week, the church gets exposed. Pay attention to who it is that was withdrawing their money. Was it the church? Are they preparing to flee? So I just thought I'd throw that in. Like I said, they're scared. They're terrified. They've been terrified of me ever since they put me on their blacklist back in 1998. They are terrified. I am their worst nightmare, Grady Mon. I am here. I am back. Let's see, let me do this right. I'm back.